This is Luke Paulson, the Catholic Conservative, and welcome to the news of the week for January 17th, 2026. And if you enjoy these videos, do not forget to like, comment, and most importantly, subscribe for more. Unrest in Venezuela. While white liberals are mourning Maduro in America, there is a small vocal minority in Venezuela who are missing Maduro. No matter how bad a dictator like Maduro was, some people will still support him. Despite being extracted by Delta Force, there are some Maduro loyalists who are breaking up the celebrations. They are arresting Venezuelan citizens who are not harming anyone's life, liberty, or property. The scariest part is that these do not even appear to always be government-sanctioned agents. While the state has sanctioned the arrest of the celebrators, this group is potentially operating of their own accord. Now, one of the reasons that they fled here, again, some legally and some not, is because of this dictator. However, America is a nation of laws, something that Georgina Floyd does not understand. The footage released. Since the death of the so-called vigilante who tried to kill Agent Ross was released, it should have caused all of the Democrats to abandon this talking point. I would like to point something out for the record, Your Honor. Even if the killing was completely unjustified and unprovoked, how many Americans have been killed by illegals who are led into this country unfiltered? How many Americans have been killed by illegals that could have and should have been sent home? How many Americans have lost a family member because of illegals? Even if you could calculate this number, that does not account for drugs and human trafficking. If this woman had been killed by illegals, the fake news would sweep this under the rug. These vigilantes need to just let Immigration and Customs Enforcement do their jobs. You can film from the sidelines and then release the footage. That has always been allowed. This professional protester should have done just that. Immigration and Customs Enforcement is just doing the job that Congress gave them. Liberals were not this upset when President Obama was executing these laws. It is just the myriad cases of Trump derangement syndrome that causes them to lash out like this. The Portland couple. Remember when the fake news lost their minds over the wife-beater who was deported?
Pepperidge Farm remembers.
They called him the Maryland man even though he was an utter piece of scum. Now we have the Portland couple. These two were shot by ICE during what should have been a routine traffic stop. It is now coming out that they had ties to the infamous criminal gang Tren de Aragua. This is the same gang that took over an apartment building by forcing the residents out. As such, I have no sympathy for this couple. Criminals deserve no sympathy. Just like the attempted killer of Agent Ross, I refuse to use the names of these illegals. TDS prevents people from seeing all of the good that President Trump does to protect them, such as all of his work protecting the poor and middle class, including letting people keep their money, and by targeting large investment firms, ending predatory purchases. One of the few things that I can potentially agree with liberals on is predatory purchasing. Millionaires and billionaires will purchase homes or lots just to rent them out at predatory rates. This is usually done by large investment firms. This essentially prices lower and middle income brackets out of the housing market. President Donald Trump is supposedly trying to stop this by banning large investors from owning single-family homes. However, as noble as his intentions may be, this is also probably illegal. I do not know if there is a legal way to stop this, unless the firms are buying across state lines. Otherwise, President Trump cannot legally act. Alternatively, Congress can levy additional taxes on these companies, or attach funding to states that encourage them to forbid this practice. TDS and the fake news do not want President Trump to succeed, even if his administration is working hard to protect the most vulnerable, and even helping people eat healthier foods. The food pyramid, inverted. A lot of people are under the belief that scientists run around in lab coats as unbiased researchers. Sadly, neither is true. For years, we were taught that the food pyramid, and later My Plate by First Gentleman Michael Obama, now the Secretary of Health and Human Services, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., has inverted the pyramid to be healthier. Did you know that the original pyramid with 6 to 11 servings of grain was organized based on lobbyists?
Yes!
Did you know that some fats and sugars are actually good for you despite recommendations of less than 1 serving a day?
Yes!
And did you know that highly processed foods get taxpayer subsidies to make them cheaper, which leads to more obesity?
Yes!
In short, people need to eat more meat and vegetables than grains. Do not forget, the closer to the farm, the further from harm. Super processed foods are the enemy of health. RFK Jr. is trying to get recommendations that most align with peak health. And sometimes peak health consists of diet and exercise. More than dozens of different injectable drugs. Altering the schedule. One statistic that I found is that children are given 72 different vaccines by the time they are 18. Now, because of RFK Jr., that number may be down to 11. These drugs are often given without any concern for whether or not the child could have a life-threatening allergic reaction. The CDC has already admitted that the connection between vaccines and autism has never been studied. Is it even remotely possible that the chemicals used in the medicine could have adverse effects? Now of note is that none of these drugs are being made illegal. Parents can still get every single one, and some are even covered by insurance. Now there are some people out there who believe that just because something is not mandatory, it is automatically banned and they will never have access to it again. People have a choice as to what to do with their bodies, or how to raise their children. However, the health of the body is just one part of the equation. In truth, anything only of man will inevitably harm man, and anything of the devil will kill man. Iran was always unstable. Iran is perhaps the furthest thing from a bastion of morality and decency. This is because they started their nation not just on ideas that violate human rights, they also base their nation on the ideas created by the devil. Now the people are revolting and rebelling across the country. I had great hope for the Arab Springs many years ago, but that did not change much. Iran, under Islam and Sharia law, has brought massive human rights violations. And people like Zohran Mamdani and Ilhan ballot-harvesting Omar would undoubtedly love to bring this to the West, just as Britain has already been conquered. Now, it is not just the human rights abuses that come from Islamic law. It is the soaring prices as a result of the government control of the economy. From what I can tell, shops are closing because of hyperinflation.
Right now, one United States dollar is worth about 1 trillion Zimbabwe dollars.
Whoa, that's awesome. I have 10 US dollars I earned selling corn dogs. Here, take it. Then you'll have $10 trillion and you'll be rich.
It's nice of you, but that 10 trillion won't get me very far when a loaf of bread now costs 5 trillion.
$5 trillion for a loaf of bread? It better taste amazing.
Thousands of people have died because of the government's crackdown on those revolting. However, despite all of this, there is something that we cannot forget. In all honesty, the next regime will be just as bad. The only way for this country to be rescued is not by Western military powers, but by the blood of Jesus Christ. Sadly, these people have rejected him.
Maybe I'm just blowing smoke. Maybe I'm completely off my rocker, but that is just my opinion. And do not forget to like, comment, and most importantly, subscribe for more. But before you go, on the left I have last week's video, but you may also enjoy the video on the right.